Hi, I'm Giovanna Sardelli, and I'm the director of the upcoming Women's Project production of Apple Cove, written by Lynn Rosen.
And I'm Lynn Rosen.
So, Lynn, can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind Apple Cove?
Yes, Apple Cove was inspired by first pre-2001 and pre-9/11 because I would go home to Indiana, where I'm from, and I would see that swaths of trees that I used to love to drive by and maybe even run through were being replaced by these gated communities. And I bemoaned that fact. That was one reason that I was inspired to write this. But also I was very curious why so many of these gated communities were sprouting up. What is it that people were keeping out with their locked gates and their rules that, how high your grass can grow and what color your house can be? Why were they keeping out nature and spontaneity? What were they so frightened of? But then when 9/11 happened, at the same time I was considering starting a family, my perspective changed, and Apple Cove began to change, and I kind of understood why someone would want to live in a gated community, and I understood why someone would want to keep the world at bay. And so a choice for me was deciding, did I want to bring a child into this world, and if so, what kind of world did I want them to live in? A very safe world, like in a gated community, where everything pretty much is going to happen. Well, you think you know it's going to happen in a gated community. That's the mystery of Apple Cove, is it's not what they expect it to be. But or did I want them to have my children, that I grow up in a world that was more spontaneous and was full of, yes, some scary things, but also some beautiful things. And so the play Apple Cove really became about that theme. And the protagonist, Edie's journey to figure out what kind of world she wanted to live in.
Right. It's funny to hear you say that, because I would not have thought that it predated 9/11, but then hearing you say that, I think about the theme of nature just on its own, and it makes complete sense.
Yes.
And the gated community idea is fascinating to me, because I grew up in Las Vegas when there were no gates. It was open desert. And when I go back now, everybody, except for my family, lives in a gated community. And there's also the status of, does your gate have a guard or just a code? And I find that so interesting, because
What are they keeping out?
Me, apparently. I don't have the codes. I wanted to ask you also, what's interesting is, while it sounds so serious, this topic of fear and how do we protect ourselves, you write with so much humor. And I wonder why you choose to use humor?
Well, I think, humor is how I deal with things in my life, good or bad. I think, and like a lot of people like you, we kind of like to laugh our way through things. Right. It helps you get through very, very painful situations. And in Apple Cove, I think I utilize humor as a way to tell the story, obviously, and make it entertaining, but also to get an idea across. And I think it's kind of a subtle and sneaky way to do that, as well as entertaining, because that's mainly what we're here to do. But it is very, very funny, but there's also a very heartbreaking story involved in Apple Cove, and also a tale of bravery. Yeah. And there are a lot of surprises. And I think humor is just a great way in. It's what I respond to.
Me too, obviously.
Obviously, because now what is it about Apple Cove? We met at the Lark Play Development Center, where I started developing Apple Cove with Arthur Kopit and Tina Howe, and then you bounded up to me after hearing some of it. What is it that attracted you to this play?
Everything you're talking about. When I remember the first scene, because that was what I encountered first. You just read, I think, 15 pages, and I was laughing so hard in those pages, but I also, every time a new character would come on stage, I saw my family, I saw my friends, and I saw myself in that kind of glorious way of, I recognized myself and my friends, but I was also embarrassed and intrigued and inspired. And instantly I thought, I have to know these people, and I have to know what's going to happen to them. And I want to be the person that tells that story.
And you elbowed everyone out of the way
I did.
To get to me first.
I did.
Well, I'm glad, because you've helped me develop this for over 5 years.
That's right, it has been 5 years.
And it's been an awesome journey. Ending here, well, maybe you're starting here with the Women's Project. So this play, Apple Cove, has a lot of surprises. It's very theatrical, kind of a heightened theatricality to it. What is going to be the most challenging thing directing Apple Cove?
So designing the set was, with Scott Bradley, our amazing set designer, was really, that alone was an amazing journey, because the set is a character in the play. The sound is a character in the play. And so I think the biggest challenge is making sure all those elements come together to tell your story, and that that it's entertaining.
Yes, as
Yes.
always.
That the humor lands, because like a musical, if there's a wrong note, you can't lie. Everyone in the audience says, oh, we didn't hit that note.
What do you enjoy most about collaborating? Not just with me, although I prefer the answer just be about me.
Just about you.
Between the collaboration between director and playwright, because you work with a lot of playwrights who are working on new plays. You develop a lot of new plays.
Right.
What is most fun about it?
I love storytelling. I love it. I grew up in a family that told stories, and I can't write. So when a story like yours comes along, I mean, it is why I elbowed people across the room, because I thought, I'm telling that story, because it's the part of the collaboration that I most love. And I love having you in the room to tell me when I am doing it, and when I'm not quite telling the story, or when we discover the surprises even that we didn't expect, where the play, somebody takes a turn and we think, oh, that really illuminates something in humanity we didn't think we were going to show the world.
Yeah. I have been lucky enough to be involved with the Women's Project for the last 2 years. I was in the Playwrights Lab, and I met a lot of inspirational and whip-smart and fantastic writers who've inspired me. But you are somewhat new as a collaborator to Women's Project. So how's it going?
Well, I have to say I am loving it, and I'm thrilled to finally be a part of the Women's Project as a director, because when I moved to New York and heard about it, it was a place that I've always been interested in, and I've supported it as a patron. And when the chance to collaborate with you arose, I leapt at that chance, because I think that Julie Crosby and Megan Carter are brave theater artists who the work they produce is always inspiring to me. I love how diverse the work is. I think there's this idea that female playwrights are going to cover just issues that only relate to women. Well, yeah, womany issues, and I don't know what that is either. You wouldn't lump men together and say, oh, it's going to be male themed.
Yeah.
And so over the past few years, to come and see plays that span genre and that excite me and delight me, that I thought, when we were talking about what is the perfect home for Apple Cove,
Perfect home.
it is the perfect home.